When the Surface Pro 3 came out in about 2015 or 2016, it came out with a new generation N-Trig pen. Microsoft now call that the Microsoft Pen Protocol, and that pen has been through several iterations. There was the Surface 3 pen, there was the Surface Pro 4 pen, and then with the Surface Pro in 2017 came the 4th generation of this pen. And of course, with each of those generations, Microsoft's been adding lots of new cool features like magnetic attachment, tilt sensitivity, 4,000 levels of pressure, and the current Surface Pen is a pretty awesome device with interchangeable pen tips. That said, with each generation the price has been going up. So a lot of people are interested in devices or pens that might be a little cheaper that work with your Surface devices. So we bought a bunch of Surface compatible pens or Microsoft Pen Protocol pens to test out. Let's have a look at them. So there's lots of Surface Pro compatible pens on the market. I started here with a couple of eBay specials, around about $30 to $40 Australian, so quite cheap relatively compared to the $150 price tag on the Surface Pro pen. I also got a hold of the Wacom Bamboo Ink Smart Stylus. That's a really awesome pen, I like that one, and also the Adonit Ink and the Adonit Ink Pro pens. Like the Microsoft pens, the Surface pens, most of these are powered by a 4A battery. Apart from the two Adonit pens, they actually have internal rechargeable batteries, which is pretty cool. So let's have a look at how each pen performed and how it felt on the screen. So I'll start with the cheapest and nastiest eBay pen. This one here, look, it doesn't look fantastic. It's not the best finish. I'll try and find links for these that I use to buy these products on eBay so that you can have a look at them and see if they're available in your market. Like the original Surface pen that came out with the Pro 3, it has two buttons on the side. It does not have a Bluetooth click button on the back or an eraser on the back. The eraser is actually this button on the side here, so the lower button. The other button there is a right click button. And you'll see that I can start drawing here. It actually came with a battery, this pen, believe it or not. And I can use the eraser function there, holding that button down to actually erase the ink. I'm finding that this one takes a little bit more force than I'm used to activate, to start a pen stroke. But it's actually not bad considering the money that I paid for it. So that's the first pen there. The box says it's an S Pen for Surface, so it's a bit of a confused branding there with the Samsung S Pen branding. Coming over here to the other cheap eBay model that I got, and this one's just called an Active Stylus. This one didn't come with a battery, which was a little bit annoying, but it did actually come with a spare pen tip, a hard and a soft pen tip on this one, which is pretty cool, again for a cheaper model pen. Using the pen, again, fairly good feel on the screen. A little easier to activate than the other cheaper pen when I press down. Has a button on the side. It's kind of a rocker style button, so the bottom half of that will be for erasing and the top half is a right click action button. Even though it looks like it's got an eraser on the back, this one, it does not. So if I did draw something, turn the pen over, it's not actually a button at all. It's really just there for looks and styling. Like the other pen, it actually has a little pocket clip on the side, which is really good. So with this as well, you might find that you can either put it in your pocket or you can attach it to the Surface Pro keyboard just with that clip there, because they don't have magnets in them to attach to the Surface directly. So that was a pretty good option there. Really nice finish to it, actually. It looks really good, that one. The other ones that I have here are the Adonit pens. So Adonit are known quite well for making styluses for iPads and iPhones in the past. Some of those ones that sort of mimic your fingertip. And these days they're into Bluetooth pens for iPad as well as the Surface Pro. So this particular one here is the Adonit Ink, which is the cheaper model. It has an internal rechargeable battery, and because of that, it's actually quite lightweight compared to the other pens. And there's a USB or a mini USB port on the top there that you plug it in to charge it. So you can just plug it into any USB port. It has a little indicator, LED indicator on the side to tell you when the pen's on. So I just have to hold the button down on the bottom. It goes green to tell me that the pen's on. So it is something that I actually need to physically turn on. Now I'm drawing on the surface here, and it's got a really light activation. So I don't have to press too hard. It feels really nice on the screen. There's a button on the side, a rocker button again. Bottom half is for erasing and the top half is for right clicking or selecting. Feels awesome. It's a really nice pen. The only issue that I have with it is that the pen tip is a hard plastic pen tip, very similar to what we see on the iPad pencil, which is very clicky on the screen. It's actually really loud. If you were doing a lot of note taking, we'll do a bit of a sound test, but you'll see that this one is actually quite loud on the screen. It's very slippery and it feels nice. So I think that people who are doing digital artwork are really going to love this. But for those taking notes, it can be a little annoying and distracting in a quiet meeting room or a conference when you're taking notes with a pen like this. But apart from that, I really like this style. It's got the clip on the side there. It's a really good alternative to the Surface Pen. The other one that I found a little bit hard to get hold of, and it was relatively expensive, is the Adonit Ink Pro. So this particular one actually comes with a little base. That's it there. And if I put that base on the desk, I plug it into a USB port there, and it actually charges the pen when I plug it into or sit it on the little dock there. Really strong magnet holds that dock up there. This one's actually got some kind of crazy functionality in it. If I can remember how to turn it on, first of all, that's it. So just pressing the button there. It has the erase and draw functions. Feels really nice on the screen. A little bit quieter, I think, than the Adonit Ink, the Ink Pro, but still a hard plastic pen tip relatively. The erase button on the side, the right click button at the top there, but the other button that's in here is actually a laser pointer. So I'm going to try and shine that at the camera there just to give you a little effect. But that laser pointer would be really helpful if you're doing a PowerPoint presentation or something like that. Having that built into your pen while you annotate the screen could make for an interesting little setup. So I really like that pen. Like I said, perhaps a little louder on the screen than the Surface Pro pen. We'll test it out. But I think that one's a pretty good option if you can get hold of it. I had to sort of hunt it down on eBay and get it in from overseas, whereas the Adonit Ink is available at most of the retailers who sell the Surface in Australia. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention with the Adonit Ink Pro is that the buttons on the side and the device, the pen, can be paired to your tablet via Bluetooth. And there's actually a microphone inbuilt in the pen. So if I hold the button down, it can activate Cortana, and I could speak to the pen and get it to do a search, like what's $1 US in Australian dollars, and it would actually just speak back the answer to me from my Surface. So that's a pretty cool function on the Adonit Ink Pro that's quite unique to this pen. And the last one, I've left this one for last because I think it's my favorite, is the Wacom Bamboo Ink. It's got a longer name than that. I think it's called the Wacom Bamboo Ink Smart Stylus. Now this one's kind of interesting because it not only supports the Microsoft Pen protocol for the Surface Pro, Surface Go, all of the other Surface devices like my Surface Studio here as well, but it also supports other Windows Wacom devices. So because it's made by Wacom, they've supported their own pen protocols. Certain devices will be compatible with this, but just check the Wacom Bamboo website to find out which ones it is compatible with. But what I really like about it is that it's got a nice soft pen tip first of all. An easy light activation force as well, so it's not particularly hard to get the ink flowing from the pen. It's pretty responsive, and the pressure sensitivity feels good. What's confusing me here though is that the erase button on this one is at the top of the pen, the right click at the bottom, so that's opposite to the other pens. Once again, there's no erase functionality on the back. There is on this one though a button on the back, so we can actually click that button in to activate different functions with the Wacom Bamboo. So just like the Surface Pen, clicking in the button can be programmed to do different functions on your device. What I liked about this one as well is that there is a pack of pen tips that come with it, so we can adjust the feel of the pen from soft to hard, and again with that goes the noise level associated with the pen, especially around taking notes. This was one of the quietest pens that I could find as an alternative to the Surface Pen, and for that, even though it was relatively expensive, I think it's a really good option. It's got the clip on the side as well. So that's just a few of the alternatives to the Surface Pen that I could find out there. All of these pens here, first of all, they will work on Surface Pro from 3 onwards up till the 2017 and the Surface Pro 6, the Surface 3, the Surface Go, the Surface Book, and the Surface Studio, as well as the Surface Laptop actually. All of these pens would work on any of those devices. They all have sort of similar functionality. None of these pens support the tilt functionality that is current and present on the Surface Pro pen from 2017 on, the latest Surface Pro pen. But apart from that, they're all pretty equivalent in their functionality. There is also another pen that's coming out very soon from Microsoft. It's called the Classroom pen. It's a smaller, shorter pen, similar in style to some of these older style Surface pens with the 2 buttons on the side. And that'll be another cheap option that's coming out soon. We don't have it yet, but it'll be very similar in style and price to some of those cheaper eBay pens. If you found this information helpful, remember to give us the thumbs up, comment below, and subscribe to our channel to learn how to use that Surface pen most effectively.